Presiding over a decades-long golden age of peace and prosperity, King Jaehaerys the Conciliator died in 103 AC, leaving the Iron Throne to Viserys Targaryen, who continued most of his grandfather's policies, save for breaking tradition and established precedent to name his sole surviving child, Princess Rhaenyra, heir to the Iron Throne. However, this decision was undermined when the king's wife died, and he married young Alicent Hightower, who birthed 4 children, including 3 boys as potential successors. Though Viserys reaffirmed Rhaenyra's place as heir, a rivalry grew between the Blacks for the Targaryen princess and Greens for the Hightower queen, seeking to make her eldest son Aegon the next king. When Viserys died in 129 AC, the Greens enacted their plans and usurped the Iron Throne, declaring Aegon king of Westeros, while on Dragonstone, the Blacks crowned Rhaenyra, beginning the Dance of the Dragon civil war. Seeking allies, the Blacks sent the Queen's eldest son Jaehaerys on successful diplomatic missions to the Vale and North, while her second son Lucerys failed to win over the Stormlands, and was killed by Aemond One-Eye in the dance over Shipbreaker Bay. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra's husband Daemon Targaryen flew directly to the great fortress of Harrenhal, where, after winning the Battle of the Burning Mill and taking the castle's stone hedge, the Blacks claimed the Riverlands for the Queen. In the capital, the newly made Hand of the King, Sir Criston Cole, led an army alongside King Aegon on Sunfire and Aemond on Vhagar to force fealty onto the houses of the Crownlands, before moving into the Riverlands, resulting in the Battle of Rook's Rest, where they killed Rhaenys Targaryen and her dragon Meleys. Although Aemond and Vhagar emerged unharmed, Sunfire tore a wing while Aegon suffered burns and broken bones, leaving his brother as regent and protector of the realm. Devastated by the loss of his wife, Corlys Velaryon nearly left Rhaenyra's cause but was convinced to stay when named Hand of the Queen by Jaehaerys Velaryon. Dutifully taking on increased responsibilities, Jaehaerys sent the younger children and dragons of their family to safety, with Rhaena, Joffrey, Taraxis, and 3 dragon eggs sent to the Vale of Arryn, while Aegon, Stormcloud, Viserys, and a dragon egg sailed on a ship to Pentos. After a conversation with the Queen's Jester Mushroom, Jaehaerys was reminded Targaryen men likely fathered many illegitimate children with small folk, and so announced the sowing of the seeds, promising land, riches, and knighthood to anyone who successfully bonded a dragon and fought for the Blacks. Of the 16 dead and thrice as many wounded, some notable attempts were made by Sir Steffon Darklyn, Lord Commander of the Queen's Guard, who burned to death while trying to mount Sea Smoke, as did Lord Gorman Massey while approaching Vermithor. Claiming to be a bastard son of Maegor the Cruel, Silver Dennis lost an arm while trying to bond the Wild Dragon Sheepstealer, and along with his sons, lost their lives when next attacked and consumed by the Wild Dragon Cannibal. Then there was the Jester Mushroom, who supposedly tried to claim Silverwing, but ended up jumping into a well with his pantaloons on fire and nearly drowned. Yet amidst all the pain and sorrow, Jaehaerys recruited 4 successful dragon riders, including Hard Hugh Hammer, the bastard son of a blacksmith who claimed Vermithor, the alcoholic former man-at-arms Ulf the White, also called Ulf the Sot, who mounted Vermithor's mate Silverwing. There were also the supposed illegitimate children of Laenor Velaryon, who were more likely sired by Corlys Velaryon, with 15-year-old Adam of Hull successfully claiming Sea Smoke, while 14-year-old Alan tried to mount Sheepstealer, but instead had his cloak set on fire. Though Adam put out the flames and Sea Smoke drove off Sheepstealer, Alan suffered burns and permanent scars. As Adam successfully claimed a dragon, Corlys and Jaehaerys asked Rhaenyra to legitimize both brothers, allowing the Sea Snake to name the elder boy his successor to Driftmark. The last to claim a dragon was Nettles, a 16-year-old dark-skinned girl who regularly brought an offering of mutton to Sheepstealer until he grew comfortable with her presence. Hoping the dragon seeds might gain them a decisive advantage, the Blacks soon suffered a terrible loss in the Battle of the Gullet, one of the bloodiest sea battles in history. Allied with Aegon and the Greens, the Triarchy of Essos sent 90 ships to break the Velaryon sea blockade around the capital, and along the way encountered the vessel carrying Rhaenyra's sons to Pentos. Capturing Viserys and his dragon egg, Aegon mounted young Stormcloud, who despite grievous wounds flew to Dragonstone, ensuring his rider's safety before passing away. The fleet then attacked the Gullet, causing Jaehaerys to mount Vermax and lead the Dragon Seeds into battle, ultimately winning by destroying 62 of 90 ships. Yet according to the most likely story, Vermax was entangled in a chain while flying at high speed and suffered fatal wounds, causing Jacaerys to jump into the water where he was shot by crossbowmen and sank beneath the waves. Though they returned to Dragonstone victorious, Nettles was in tears while Addam sought consolation from Corlys Velaryon. However, Hugh Hammer and Ulf the White grew closer as they celebrated their success, believing they were entitled to greater rewards for their valiant efforts. These opinions then led to disaster when Hugh and Ulf were sent to fight in the First Battle of Tumbleton, but instead betrayed the Blacks to join Aegon's brother Daeron and his dragon Tessarion in securing victory for the Greens. However, the king's forces were unable to capitalize, as the betrayers proved greedy and belligerent, refusing to move until their outrageous demands were met, as Ulf the White demanded Highgarden, capital of the Reach, while Hugh Hammer donned a crown of black iron to proclaim himself king of Westeros. Outraged by their betrayal, Rhaenyra ordered the arrest of all dragon seeds, but Addam was warned by Corlys, just as Nettles fled with permission from her possible lover Daemon Targaryen as they hunted Vhagar in the Riverlands. Determined to prove his loyalty, Addam Velaryon, upon Seasmoke, led a black army into the Second Battle of Tumbleton, where they engaged in a chaotic melee with the riderless dragons Vermithor and Tessarion that left Addam and Seasmoke killed, while Vermithor died soon after, and Tessarion later in the afternoon, put out of its misery by 3 arrows to the eye. Their riders also perished, as Daeron Targaryen was killed in the fighting, while the Dragon Seeds earned the hatred of the Caltrops, a conspiracy of noblemen loyal to King Aegon, resulting in bold Jon Roxton sacrificing his life to kill Hugh Hammer, only to be cut down by the False King's men. Ulf the White was so drunk he slept through the battle, and upon learning what occurred, quickly named himself king, yet he too fell to the selfless sacrifice of a Caltrop, when Hobart Hightower took a sip of poisoned wine to convince Ulf there was no danger. Losing Jacaerys, as well as 3 of the 4 dragon seeds, only Nettles survived, possibly spending the rest of her life with Sheepstealer in the mountains of the Vale, where they were spotted and attacked a few years later in 134 AC, resulting in 16 dead and 60 wounded. Sheepstealer and Nettles then fled deeper into the mountains, where they may have been worshipped by an offshoot of the Painted Dogs clan, who revered a fire witch, sending their young boys to face the flames of her dragon and prove their manhood. Some believe this was the origin of the Burned Men clan, who had their boys give some part of their body to the fire, proving their courage as men. A special thanks to all those who contribute to Civilization X, like Ishmam Ahmed of Shamidiana, Sir Bob of the Bowie, Tim, and Torque Frostbite. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/civilizationx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.